back then versus now. I remember one time in elementary school during lunchtime, me and my friends were just chatting until we were all flaming each other. And they were saying, oh, I bet your dad is broke. And then right here is where we get into the careers. My dad's a lawyer. And actually, my dad is actually an astronaut. And the reason why this applies with careers back then versus now, because imagine the kids now. What are they saying? Oh, my mom's an OnlyFans model. Well, my dad is a hardcore gambler. I'll imagine those kids saying the most random, crazy jobs that probably make more money than I do. And that's not hard because I'm a brokey. Why? But listen, jobs from back then, like firefighters, police officers, lawyers, Taco Bell workers, those were all good jobs. But the way the world is now, these jobs right here would not have you living a sustainable life. Because inflation, the work economy, these jobs are no good. So that's why people are becoming hardcore gamblers, putting their whole life savings into a parlay. That is not gonna hit because why? Because they did no research. Or working at Hooters. I wouldn't mind that. Just being in a bikini. I'm sorry. Or being an OF model now. These people right here. These people right here. Wow, man. This right here is probably the best money-making method. Because if you're a girl, and I'm not saying every girl could do this, the people who are actually getting paid well are the people who are in the top 1%. And let that sink in. There is probably thousands and thousands of creators on OF just selling their body just for $10 a month. Or even higher, probably $200 a month. But still, that's not going to let you live a good life. But obviously, jobs from back then, they were a lot more physical. And I'm not saying that jobs here are still not physical. All I'm saying is that other little Timmies out here, they all want to be streamers. And to be honest, who could blame them? You do not want to be working 8 hours every single day, hardcore physical shifts, then worried about every single penny you spend. That is not the life that you live, so some people are going to take the risk. Now, whether you're successful in it, it all depends on your work effort. But as kids, being a firefighter or a police officer just sounded amazing until you grow up and then you realize this job might be unsafe and it could potentially leave me dead. And as you get older, you start to gather and learn new information and love different things. But yeah, now physical jobs are a bit hard, but for actually talking about hard jobs, we got to look into jobs from back then, when these people right here were actually risking their lives, arms, limbs. Like, take a look at this. One job from back then was called a mold scavenger, and these were people who used to clean up the machines in the factories. And if you know, the factories back then, they were not made very safely. Some areas in the facility had very rigid edges, insane bacteria, but it's not even that, because these people will go in the groins of these machines. And what ended up happening was some of these kids would lose a lot of their limbs and were at risk for many major injuries. Another one from this timeline was chimney sweeps, and these were also kids who used to clean up chimneys. You might say, oh, this job is not that bad, but they're not fictional Santa Claus. So often these kids would get stuck and suffocate because their ribcage couldn't expand to breathe in more air. And if somehow they didn't suffocate, they would face major respiratory problems and endure many burns. But a dumb job from back then has to be the knocker-upper. These were people who used to wake up people by banging on their window, throwing rocks out their window, and even spitballs to wake up the other person, because back then they had no clocks. So these people had to wake up early for their jobs, so they hired these knocker-uppers. Now, yeah, this does sound like a pretty cool job, but my thing is, who woke up the knocker-upper? Who? Nah, cause now I'm tight, cause what if he has a clock? Or just an infinite loop? And yeah, that is the end of the video. No more yapping, and I'm done.
That's about it. See ya.